Hello, Chiquis!
And welcome to Chatty Amigas, a podcast where two friends approach everyday problems and find practical solutions.
We are your hosts. I'm Mafe.
And I'm Ella.
And in today's podcast, we will be talking about mama drama.
Ooh, spill the tea on that. Why are mother-daughter relationships so important, and how can it affect a daughter's future life?
And as you guys know, just a disclaimer, we are not therapists, doctors, nor are we sociologists. We're just two friends discussing everyday relationships and finding practical solutions through research we have done.
And remember that the beauty of life is that you can make your own decisions.
So stay tuned.
Stay safe, yeah.
I will say, it almost sounded like tuna. Gosh. So stay tuned.
Stay fishy. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that.
Stay tuned and join us for the tea. All right. So today we are talking about moms and daughters relationships, and we all have a mom. We all came from a mother and a father, obviously. But today's podcast, we are focusing on moms and daughter relationship, and we're gonna give some tips about how we can better our relationship with our own mothers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Just keep agreeing.
So the first article we wanted to talk about, one of them that was really helpful that Mela found during the research, was how we can identify the type of relationship we have with our own mom. Because even though we all have a mom or had, if stuff has happened, but we have to identify the type of relationship we have, because not all of them are the same. Not one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
And we cannot choose the family, that we were born into, but we are here, we're all different. And of course, our moms are no exception. But no matter what the case is, we love them, we love our family, but we have to identify what type of relationship we have with our mom.
Yes, and it's good to embrace what we have, because, it can't change. So the faster we are to accepting what we have, the easier life will be and happier we'll be. And sometimes, being imperfect humans, problems can arise. Sometimes things can get a little sticky, but here we are giving practical solutions on it, and also to discuss how nice it is to have everyday mother-daughter relationships. Like Mafe pointed out, not everyone has the same life circumstance, so we're going to speak more in the general, what the majority is. If you guys want us to do a topic in the future about something different relationships and family, like maybe stepmoms or something of that nature, let us know. Adoption, well, that's something too. But not, I guess with that you could also relate to a degree. But yeah, so we're just gonna discuss the general. There was a mom had a daughter. And they talk and they live with each other. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. And the article we'll first be discussing is 7 types of mother-daughter relationships and how each of them influence the daughter's life. Because that's good to know. Like, oh, how is this going to influence the daughter? Because, that's a big deal.
It is. So, and as you all know, we're going to link everything on the description below so you guys can give it some more thought and read through it and just meditate and find out which type of relationship you have with your mama. So the number one was, according to this brightside.me link, it's called sisters. So in this case, the mother and daughter are equals. They behave actually like sisters. And it's interesting, it mentions that they could even compete with each other. The mother wants it this way, so she avoids actual motherhood. And in this case, a lot of reverse roles could happen. Like the daughter could then take on the supportive role and become like the mother, being responsible, caring, and that type of stuff. So how could it affect the daughter? The website mentions that girls that are raised by these mothers are often responsible and become leaders. So they value boundaries between people, but also they might feel unloved, emotionally neglected, and have a fear of rejection.
That's really interesting. I
It's
can see that.
I like that it mentions too like a positive thing, but
Yeah,
then it also has a negative impact because having a sister, I mean, I don't have a sister. You have a sister.
I do.
And having a sister, I'm sure, well,
Kisses, Michelle. Might as well.
yes, much love to you and all your support. And also make sure you follow her. She has her own business, really cute. It's called
Yes, she just started a week ago.
Shop
Wi-
in the new collection.
Yeah, she just created her own curated collection of clothing line she created like from her
Yeah.
mind, and she's putting it together with these artisans in India and in the Polynesia area. I don't remember. I think it was Tahiti. Maybe it was
Yeah.
Tahiti. Was it?
I don't know.
I can't
How would
remember.
I know?
Sorry. But it's pretty stuff. So if you guys want to check out check out on social media, shop all in the detail. We'll leave a link below too.
Yes,
Might as
make,
well.
make
Yes.
sure
It looks
to
beautiful. If you
it's
like booze,
gorgeous. Make
look
sure
at
to
it.
make sure to give her some love from us to give her a follow. She's got really cute stuff.
She really
But
does.
so I assume, having a sister growing up is it's different. You have this mutual bond in relationship that I don't know, it's unique in relationships, right?
Yeah, because you grow up with a person that knows you from childhood to adulthood. Not everyone, knows you that deeply. So
Mhm.
you basically are born with a best friend. At least that's the hope, right?
Right, right.
Um, yeah, I noticed that in these relationships, they tend to just be one daughter involved. I haven't seen if there are siblings that are female that the mom does a sister's thing. I just noticed that it's when it's just one daughter, one mom. This tends to be that's the pattern I've noticed. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen it. It's cute. It's nice to see how close they can be. I've also seen problems come out like severely when they want their independence, the daughters, because then the daughters kind of want to do their own thing, and the moms are like, well, no, because you're what? And then it can create tension between them. I've seen that happen. And then when they start transitioning into adulthood and marriage or whatever they're choosing to do with their lives, I've seen them get married for the most part. And then like sometimes the daughter just like it's weird. Either they still remain really close and the marriage suffers, or the daughter completely separates from the mom in a way. I don't know. I've seen it go extreme. I'm really big on balance. I think that if a mom wants to treat her daughter like a friend, okay, do you? But I think that we all have rules that
Yeah.
sometimes are okay to follow through. It's hard because I don't have children.
Me neither do I, just for the
So I
record.
can't like really give too much of an opinion on it because I don't have children. But I did work in schools for 10 years of my life. I originally went to school to be a teacher, and I've worked with ages 4 to 18. I've worked in every single like subject matter, every single one. And I've worked with special needs and autistic teenagers at a special school. So I do have some experience on kids and children, especially teenagers, the fickle age that they can be. My personal opinion and experience regarding that is that I cannot treat the students like they're my equals, because then I don't get the respect needed to help direct them in the proper way or direct them in a good path of life, which I feel is very important. And when you're the adult, you have the experience, you're the ones that made the mistakes. It's good to help direct a child so they don't ideally repeat it, or if they are to repeat the mistakes, because that's what humans tend to do, at least be there to give them some, kids have to make their own mistakes, right? To grow and be a person. It is what it is. But it's okay to be there and like help them out during or after. It just that's the thing. It's kind of tricky because every child is different as well. And then I'm not a mom. So like for some kids it might work having the sister thing, some it might
But
not.
no, I think that this article really pinpointed in it, and going along with what you were saying earlier, there has to be roles.
Yeah,
there has
I
to be
agree.
a role, because when there are no obvious roles, somebody takes on that role.
Yeah,
And
and it
that
could be
is
the
what
daughter, and
happens.
that's
That's
not
what
okay.
happens in this case with the sisters, and the daughter could end up trying to become that supportive role and becoming the mom to her own mom.
Yeah,
You know,
with a lack of
becoming very
experience.
exactly. So becoming responsible, caring, and that type of stuff, that's good. But you know, when they grow up, then that just affects them in a negative way. Like, I mean, positive way, like it's stated, you know, they're more responsible and become leaders, but they also have you know, they feel unloved or emotionally neglected and have a fear of rejection. So there has
Yeah.
to be clear roles in order to have a balanced relationship.
I mean, it's good that moms are friends to their daughters. Like, that's really important. But I think to know that it is your mom, not necessarily the best friend that you have that's your age that lives down the block, makes a
Mhm.
difference.
And speaking of that, best friends, that's the number 2 pointer.
Oh, yeah.
It says number 2 is best friends. It says this relationship, it's built on trust, and the mother is the first person that the girl goes to with her thoughts and problems. The mother is involved in the daughter's life and supports her, always knowing what to say and being whoever the daughter needs to be, like a best friend, a love expert, shopping partner, partner in crime, right? The good stuff that a best friend normally does. So how can it affect the daughter? Girls with these mothers are not afraid to face challenges and take risk. Since they feel loved and understood, they initiate relationship and don't have fear of rejection. So now we are seeing how, like, as the roles kind of move and improve, we're gonna see different ways in how it affects the daughter. And I think being the best friend is one of the healthiest relationship roles that a mother and like a daughter could have.
Yeah, because when it comes to having a friend, all friends don't have to be the same age. Friends can be of different ages, different experiences, different walks of life. And when we have a friend, usually females like to ask usually for advice, unless they're in denial of something. They don't want to know the truth. But I can see that being more of a healthy, because I think there's still the understanding that that's your mom.
And that's why you're
know.
coming to her for advice, for help,
Correct.
for different stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty
I think that's a good one.
clean cut to the point.
Yeah. So number 3, strangers. So this one says, if you know, in you prefer to keep your mom out of your life. That sounds weird.
If you prefer, that's what clear. I think that's what they were trying to do.
Okay, so let's go that way. If you prefer to keep your mom out of your life and she's the last one to hear about what's going on in it, your relationship probably belongs to this type. So in this case, you know, they don't involve each other in their lives, don't share problems, thoughts, you know, not the really important ones, unless it's necessary, and they just practically almost don't know each other. So that just on its own, just that description, it's just hard as it is, and we can imagine and assume how it actually affects somebody in a deeper emotional level. The website mentions children with detached relationships with their parents are more likely to experience depression, anxiety, have low self-esteem, and also could lead a frustrating relationship with their life partner later in life. And also, you know, the girl grows up to be very responsible and independent, since she could always solve her problems by herself. So that is a good thing to a small degree, you know, being able to be independent and responsible and solve your own problems. But that's why we have family, that's why we have friends, that's why we have like a partner in life, because we're not meant to be alone, right? We were not created to be alone.
Unless you have the gift of singleness to a degree, and you don't want to be in a relationship, but as a whole.
But still, you still need your parents, you still need your friends.
We're made socially. We're social
exactly
creatures.
Not for approval, but just to have that help of, hey, I have this going on. What would you have done? What do you think? I'm thinking of doing that. How about we do this? You know, and if we don't have that strong foundation of, you know, that family stability, back and forth, talking, fixing issues and stuff, that could just like it said, leading a frustrating relationship later in life.
Yeah, I can see this being extremely unhealthy and detrimental for a female
Mhm.
because we need that. Like I think girls just like to get together and talk and like feel supported and loved and yeah. If your mom's your stranger, that's just I think that's really sad. Like I
Mhm.
feel like relationships should be mutual and like that's your mom. Like your mom should love you unconditionally and I think for the most part they do.
Mhm.
And vice versa, daughters love their moms unconditionally. So I think it's very important to be there and support the daughters and like give them the advice they need, especially because daughters are younger, which means they don't have the wisdom, they don't have the life experience that moms have. You know, it's so important because I think that in a society where women aren't really that appreciated, to have that one first contact, that first woman appreciate you and show the value that you are, is just
Mhm.
so important because the child will take that on in the future. And we want her to be successful. We want her to know she can do things, you know,
Mhm.
and just being a female isn't going to stop her. I think that's just very important.
Right, right. And if this is your case, that this is maybe a little bit of the relationship you have with your mom, we're gonna have another article later on about how to improve that relationship. So
Mm-hmm,
make sure to stay tuned so you can listen to the solution.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Agreed. All right. Then we are going to discuss the fourth one, which is devaluation. So this is similar to the one we just discussed about the stranger. However, it's more one-sided. It involves a narcissist as well. So this is more on the psychologically deeper
Mhm.
level. Either one is focused on herself only and cares more about her image and what people think rather than about the actual relationship or the person. She's trying to look perfect from the outside, but devalues her mother or daughter in reality, which is really bad because I hate that. I hate the let's look perfect so everyone in society thinks we're doing amazing, but we're actually falling apart in our
Mhm.
home. I feel that to be so sad.
It
Like, it doesn't
is.
matter. No one cares. Like, the people out there that are judging, they're not even the important people. Like, if they can't love you guys for who you are, then why does it matter? Like,
Mhm.
focus on what's important. Having a
Right.
healthy relationship at home, having healthy friends, people that are going to be there for you when you're going through a hard time, actually, you know, someone that could be mentally healthy for you. If you're going to have those frenemies that are going to be judging and you're trying to put on a show, like, why? What is the goal here? What possibly good stuff do you get from that? That is
There's
my,
nothing good. There's
there's
nothing
nothing
good
good,
because the relationships that you build are not
real.
real.
Yeah. Now, there's a difference between being respectful, polite, and tactful to everyone else. Like, you want to be kind. We want to be kind and have a good reputation. But
Mhm.
if it gets to the point where you're willing to stomp on everyone that is supposed to matter just to look good for someone because you're trying to get something that's not even real,
Mhm.
it's maybe therapy or reevaluate your life and talk to those around you that you love that are actually there, like family, people that you're
Mhm.
affecting and figure it out. But
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I think, you know, all of us having passed through pandemic, I think a lot of us were able to sit down and evaluate, are we happy? Is this what we want out of life?
Mhm.
Is there anything that I regret? And you know, since now things are starting to get back to normal, maybe it's time to put those things in play. Let's be happy. Let's figure out how we can be healthy. You know, life's short, you
Mhm.
know, it's
Let's have
okay.
relationships that actually matter
Matter.
and start
Yeah.
doing the things that we do like, that we do enjoy, instead of having to
Exactly.
pretend for the whole world to see.
I agree 100%. Because let me tell you something.
Tell me.
Sometimes it's just miscommunication. Sometimes we're
Yep.
overthinking it.
Mhm.
Sometimes we put on the show because we think, you know, friend A, B, and C care, but in reality, they don't even care. You
I
know, maybe
know.
friend A, B, and C are trying to compete with you because they feel they have to. But the moment you show that you're a person with flaws, they're going to be like, oh my God, I love you so much more. And then that creates a whole different bond and it's beautiful.
And it's
It's
a better bond.
it is a
It's a
better
real bond.
bond. Correct. And I think there's nothing wrong with wanting to be fearless and living your life the way is healthy.
And it's actually very true what you said. I have friends that, as I've gotten to know them better and they share their struggles, I appreciate them even more for who they are. Because
Yeah.
now I value the person they've become because I know what they've gone through, or I know what they're going through, and I think, my goodness, you're still here every day and you're fighting, you're doing this or all this stuff, you're not giving up, right? And it's just, you do have a higher appreciation for people that are open and that are real in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah.
That's why I always say I like my friends with strong personalities, because then I know what's happening. It's not fake ever. I'm not saying that those that don't have a strong personality aren't important or special. They are, but I just
that they're fake. We're not
to
saying
me,
that.
we're not saying that. I'm just saying for my communication style, and I guess my love language to a degree.
For who you are as a person,
me.
It works better.
I don't get it. Just go boop, past my head. I get very confused. I overanalyze. It's the whole thing. But anyway, go back to the devaluation. It's not about me.
Well, it kind of is. It kind of is about us a little bit. So it's funny because you mentioned that. I was talking to my mom the other day about something, not something like this, but just similar to a degree, because she told me, I want people to tell me things how they are, straight on, spot on, clear. I don't need people to give me hints. She's like, I don't understand that. I won't understand it. It will go over my head. It will go over my head for years until they're like, well, I was trying to hint this at you. And she's like, well, I didn't get it because you were not open with me. Because that's how my mom is too. Straight to the point. Give it. Tell me how it is. Give it to me straight. Yeah.
With tact, because we're people with feelings.
Yeah.
We will cry.
No.
It's not that we don't handle the heat. We can handle it with tact.
Yes.
Okay. So, how does this affect the daughter? Oh, not positively, I can imagine. Okay. In cases where the mother is the narcissist, instead of actually feeling loved, the daughter stays emotionally needy and needs constant reassurance of other people's feelings. The good thing is that she is a great support to others, is very loyal and insightful with people. So that's good in a way. And hopefully she'll find the right people that'll be loyal back. I can imagine her having a heartbreak a few times until she finds the right group of healthy people in her life.
Yeah.
So if the daughter is a narcissist and the mother doesn't try to change her attitude, the girl might grow up to be selfish and ignorant towards others, which I can definitely see happening. So narcissists, there's like the actual illness, and then there's just the way people are. Like I don't want to say it's a phase, but it's a mindset, right? That people can do their best to change to a degree. The thing about narcissists is that they can't change unless they want to. I think that's just fair to say about people in general. Like they're not going to change unless they want to. So if you notice your daughter's being a certain way, because we're all born into this earth as narcissists, that's just real life, actually.
It's imperfection.
No, it's when you're a baby. It's just deeper to this. When you're a baby, you are a narcissist. This is a real thing because you think the world revolves around you. Children actually think the world revolves around them until they reach a certain age. That's why when you talk to kids, sometimes they're like, my friend Billy, you know Billy? You're like, no. And they look at you like I have 7 heads. It's because he doesn't understand that you don't know who Billy is. He's like, but I see Billy every day. Like, how do you not know who Billy is? Well, you're an adult and you don't go to kindergarten. But little child doesn't understand that concept until we teach them, hey, just because you know Billy doesn't mean so-and-so knows Billy. That's just what happens. So children are little narcissists because they don't understand that the world doesn't revolve around them. And also because people cater to them. They feed them, they make sure they're okay, they're safe. It's just normal. As they get older, they're taught, hey, it's not all about you. Like socially, this is what is socially acceptable. This is what not behaviorally. That is the parents and teachers' roles. Some kids, they're born with their mental disabilities, and we have to teach them accordingly with age too, because sometimes they don't understand that at 5. Sometimes they'll understand that concept maybe at 16, right? So it's going to depend on the severity. So moms need to make sure that they're teaching their children, this is how you can function successfully by considering others, understanding that others have feelings and perceptions. And then you have, moms that don't do that. And then their kids grow up into this selfish jerks that no one likes. Right. So it's important to make sure that we're doing things in a healthy manner. However, if a mom is doing her best and the kid still is not getting the memo, there's probably something mentally deeper going on, and maybe going to a doctor wouldn't be out of the question. And I would highly recommend that, having worked in the educational field for a decade. See someone. If you're doing everything in your hand and power to try to teach your child this is what's normal, and or what's socially considered normal, and they're just not getting it, it's something deeper for sure.
Right. And like you said, we can all try to help, try to figure it out to a degree. If we see that this is the relationship that we have, then it's good to, take a break from social media, or from the what is it
Post
called?
reality. It's not real reality, it's post.
Just come back to reality and try to reassess the actual relationships that do matter, what actually does matter, so it doesn't affect neither one, neither the mom or the daughter later in the future in a negative way, because it could have like an impact, but it also could be a good thing once we put a stop to it, and we can take the reins and just lead it back to where it needs to be.
And can I just add one quick thing?
Yeah.
Don't, as a mother, I guess, don't ever be afraid if you notice something's off with your child, something's different, and you do need the help. Don't be afraid of what others will think. I promise you they'll probably be thrilled, because people notice it too when something's off. And if you don't do something about it, either people get upset about it or they start judging because you're not giving your child the best care because you're trying to ignore it. So that's something. And also, no one makes fun of anyone about that anymore. I've, like I said, worked in schools for 10 years. The kids don't care. They don't make fun of their kids because they have an aid. They don't make fun. It's completely changed. The school that we knew is different. Kids with needs don't get made fun of anymore. I actually see it being the other way around, to be quite honest with you. Kids with special needs are actually quite mean sometimes to everyone else. But that's what they need to be taught. Like, this is not socially appropriate. This is okay. Everyone's going through a hard time. I think that because mental health is such a big thing now and people understand and accept it, it's going to be easier for your child to get the help they need and not be judged. So don't be afraid to give their child the help they need. Don't be afraid. Don't be in denial either, please. I know it's easier said than done, but remember, as moms, you want to give your child the best and the best opportunities to succeed in life. And sometimes getting that extra help is what's necessary. So if a teacher's recommending a test, an IPA test, take that into consideration, because the teacher is there to help you. They're not trying to put you down or your child down. They're trying to help succeed. I've worked with multiple teachers, different ages, and I have to say not one teacher did not care. They all cared about the kids. And if they want to give the IPA test, if they want to do this, it's because they see something and they want to provide your kid with the best help ever. In the US, at least in New Jersey, I don't really know how it, I think in the US, once that your child gets approved with IPA, the state has to pay for everything, or at least the county you live in. It's not something that's going to be out of your pocket. The teacher just wants to make sure your child's getting the best education possible, and it's always free for the parent.
I think that's how it is here too.
Yeah. So just throwing that out there for any parent that's, I don't know, it sounds expensive. It's not. It's free for you. That's what your taxes go towards.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Very good. Very well said. Well said.
Number 5, it's dismission. This is a case of one-sided rejection that involves the mother playing the ones who are doing the dismissing of the child or the daughter. This happens when she ignores or dismisses her daughter's achievements, no matter what she did. It's a case where the mother is hard to impress, or where she never says she's proud of her daughter, being either totally apathetic or trying to make her daughter try even harder to reach the unreachable, which I can imagine is very stressful if you're the daughter, And I don't know, what does a mom feel in those circumstances? I'm wondering if the mom is thinking, oh, let me push harder so she could be the best she can be. I can see that's what they're thinking.
I think that's what it meant, kind of in that sense that they're trying to push the child to be better, but that just causes you to forever feel not accomplished. You're never doing enough. You're just never enough. No matter in life what you do, you're just never enough, because you're just constantly being asked to do more and do better.
It sounds exhausting.
That is exhausting.
You know what it kind of reminds me low key of? You know Friends, the show.
Yes.
Remember
Yes.
Monica, her mom?
No.
No. It reminds me of that low key. It's just like, oh God, always negative Nancy. So annoying. So how does this affect the daughter? So when a girl is raised by mothers like this, growing up experiencing deep self-doubt and feeling unworthy of attention or any kind of feelings is what happens. At the same time, they desperately long for love and recognition. And I find that to actually be kind of dangerous because any person could come around and like manipulate them to thinking that they love them, but they don't. So it's definitely something to take seriously if this is a habit.
Or like get them to do something because, well, you better do this if you want my approval. And it could be something
be a
very
bad person.
inappropriate or a bad thing or something illegal or bad. Just get them into a really bad situation just because they're desperately longing for that approval.
Yeah.
And they're willing to do just about anything to get that from somebody. So that is very dangerous.
Very. Or like even a guy could easily be like, I'm Prince Charming. Let me steal you from your mom and let's get married or whatever. Run away. Like that's, and it could be like the worst person for her. So it's definitely something to take into consideration. Like obviously if a mom wants to encourage her daughter to be the best she can be, that's wonderful, but do it in a healthy way, please.
Right. Yeah. Make sure you recognize her wins and the good things she does, and give her the love that she deserves, the approval that she needs. I mean, we all need approval, but if she does something good, learn to recognize those. And of course, always help him achieve something better, but always making sure we give that good recognition.
And then there's number 6 is the cheerleader. In this case, a mom is her daughter's best cheerleader, and she wants her to get the most out of life and experience everything. This mother is very involved in her daughter's life and wants to be a part of it, refusing to acknowledge any kind of boundaries between them and never leaving her side. She lives through her daughter's achievements, being both supportive and demanding. It often stems from the mother's dream she didn't realize herself and the things she didn't experience. Oh, Lord.
That was kind of packed, wasn't it?
Yeah, that just feels like a lot going on. Like, I could understand if a mother never like had certain freedoms or self-esteem to go and accomplish certain things, or maybe starting a family really young, which is fine. But sometimes when women start families really young, I noticed that once they hit a certain age, they kind of start, oh well, I never experienced this when I was in my 20s, so I want to experience it now in my late 30s, early to mid 40s. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to experience things, but at the same time, you made a choice to have a family young, and your family should not suffer, your children. Now whatever beef you have between the husband, that's different, but like we're not even going to get into that. But if you're starting to put your wants and needs in front of your daughter, maybe that's something to consider, because that can affect her really badly, and you don't want that. Like it's live life vicariously through your daughter in a healthy way with boundaries.
Right. Boundaries, that's the key word here, because you should be involved in your daughter's life and wanting to be part of it, right? And wanting to help out in any way that she needs to be helped, but refusing to acknowledge the boundaries or never leaving her side, that's just toxic, because now you're not even letting your own daughter figure out who she is and experience life on her own, or the things she needs to do to figure out who she is as a person. Like you said, if you need to experience things or you never experience something at a certain age or whatever, and you're trying to do that later on in life, okay, that's fine, but there needs to be boundaries between if you have kids.
And also experiencing certain lives and experiences in your 20s is not the same as doing them in your 40s. Just the fun isn't the same, like honestly. Because there are things that I did in my 20s. Like I got married later. I got married young, but I got married, I was 27 years old, right? and I lived a very packed life in my early 20s. I lived by New York City. I was always there. I was going to parties, going here, going there, checking everything out, the hole in the wall, the theater, the this, the that, traveling. I did all that. Now I'm older, and it's like I can't imagine doing all that now. It's exhausting.
Okay, we need to clarify. You say now that you're older.
No, we're not going to discuss that. No.
Still
that is a
in your
secret.
late 20s. You're still
I'm not in my late 20s, but thank you. I am not.
We're gonna leave it at that.
I will forever be 29.
I would have never just say your actual age, but you're still in your late 20s.
Sure, let's go with that one.
Well, I don't want to go into the other number. We're not gonna go there.
No, someone thought I was 25 the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you.
Go with that.
Yes, like
there you go.
But
you're still young. That's my point.
Oh, of course, I'm not ancient. Like, but I'm not 21. That's the point I'm trying to make. I'm not 18, and I cannot even imagine doing all that stuff I used to do now. Like, it's a different experience. I don't have the energy for it. I have responsibilities like going to work, etc.
Right.
And like the crowd is different. Right. So if you're like older, you're going to be doing these things with 21-year-olds, and they're in a different wavelength. And not that it's bad, it's just different. Like, you're going to see life different, because when you hit 25, is it 25? Yes, your brain stops developing. Is it 25? I believe it's 25. Dang it. Am I wrong? I have to look this up.
I don't know. Continue
Don't
talking.
quote me on that. I think it's 25.
I'm going to look it up. Keep talking.
I think it's 25, your brain stops developing. So that's why when people are 18, 21, 20, they see 3 consequences for every action.
25, you were right.
Yes.
Proceed.
Thank you. But in reality, there's not 3, there's like 13. You know what I mean? So and that's because your brain is not fully developed. It's not your fault. It's just, science doing its thing.
Right.
So by the time you hit 25, 26, then you start seeing all those 13 consequences that you didn't see 2 years ago when you only saw the 3. And that's why it's always good to speak to an older person with experience that's wise, that you trust when it comes to certain things. Like, I remember asking my mom, "Oh, Mom, can you help me? I'm trying to figure out a solution for a situation. I only see solutions B, C, and D. Am I missing something else?" And she was like, "Yeah, you're missing E, F, and G." I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't even think of that, but that makes sense. But it's because the brain is just not formed. Right. So you're an older person, matured in your late 30s, early to mid 40s, where your brain is 1,000,000% developed, right? Because you're not 25. Right. Then you're hanging out with 21-year-olds. So the experiences are going to be different. And also how you grew up is different. There is a generation gap to a degree at that point as well. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's not relatable to a degree. So it's just something to take into consideration. If you start thinking, oh, I missed out, I want to try things different, that's fine. Go live your best life, but do it in a way where you're taking into consideration your children, if you have any, your spouse, and also, or your boyfriend, if you have a boyfriend and you don't have children and you're going through something. But also just remember that it's a different time. Like, you're going to be with people that are experiencing it differently. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I feel like I'm making no sense.
No, you're making sense. You're making sense. This is why we need those boundaries. This is why we need those healthy relationships with our parents, especially in this case with our mother, because we need to have a role. We need to have somebody to tell us, okay, hold on. Thank you for coming. We are friends. We're good friends. That's why you're coming to me, your mother. Mm-hmm. But I see this from this perspective. This is what could happen with this person, or in this situation. Guess what? I was in this situation before. Guess what happened to me? This is how I solved it. It helps us see things in a different way.
And it's nice to be excited for your child, your daughter, but don't push her to do what she doesn't want to do because you want to do it and you didn't get to do it. You know, everyone chooses their roads. You made your choice.
Right.
You know, whether or not I hit like a pillowy thing. I'm so sorry.
I was like, what just happened? Okay.
Like, dang it. I hope they didn't hear it. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
I flail when I speak. I can't help it.
It sounded like a zipper. I was like, did she open something?
It was my nail manicure, nice little red nails. They're kind of long. And I went across the pillow. Sorry.
Oh, okay. proceed.
Yes. ASMR in this, right?
Oh,
But yeah, just don't push. You made your choice. Maybe, no one ever put a gun to your head and said you have to make this choice. I'm assuming at this point. Usually that's not the case. So
right.
so now how does this affect the daughter? With this kind of mother being the cheerleader, a girl can lose her sense of self and might become dependent on people, always needing somebody by her side and not being able to make her own decisions, which is not good. We want to raise women that are capable of making decisions.
Strong, independent women. That's right.
Yes. And then the final one is number 7, authoritarian. This is a case that involves an over-controlling mother who micromanages her daughter constantly, being sure she'll fail without her guidance, which is not good. She never gives her daughter a choice, nor does she value her words or opinions. She is very demanding at the same time, saying she does it for the daughter's own good, quote.
In quotes.
The daughter, in turn, either openly or quietly rebels. I can see that definitely happening.
Definitely happening.
So how does I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
So, how does it affect the daughter? Girls with these mothers are hypocritical of themselves, have a low self-esteem, and tend to devalue their own opinions, which may lead to depression. On a positive note, these girls are very responsible and committed in their relationships. So
that is like a double-edged sword, right? Again, we want to have those roles like we've talked already. We want to make sure that the mother is the mother, the daughter is the daughter, somebody that is in control, somebody that is strict with limitations, somebody that recognizes boundaries, somebody that is supportive, but that doesn't micromanage or is over controlling because it could affect the daughter, like you read, in a sense, to where now we're hypocritical of ourselves, we have low self-esteem because we just don't think we're that good. And so we want to make sure we encourage our daughters to have their own opinion, their own voice. I say our daughters for all the mothers listening, but I don't have kids.
Men in general.
I mean, I want to make
that clear. Females with no children having lots to say. This is research we're finding. It's just not something we're coming up with our own. And we've, seen friends going through things. We're daughters, right?
Right, exactly.
I'm glad to say my mom was none of them, really. I mean, she did a lot of the best friend role and stuff, but my mom also was different. Our moms were in a different situation because we lost our dad pretty young. So that's a whole thing in itself. But that will be another podcast for another future.
But absolutely. I mean, I think my mom did a lot of the best friend too, and she still does, but also a little bit of that strict. But it was good, with good boundaries, because it's taught me to be very responsible with my stuff, very self-centered, achieving the things I need to achieve, but not like I'm a failure because I didn't do this, right? That goes into me being a perfectionist, but that's neither here or there, and it's not my mom's fault. But she very well tried her very best.
So I think we can all agree mother-daughter relationships are very complex. It's even of the healthiest relationships, there can sometimes be times fraught with real challenges and arguments and fighting. So the question then is this: what goes into making a healthy mother-daughter relationship when the daughter grows up? So we have the answer here. And it is, yes. We're not just going to throw out a question, not give you an answer, especially, one that's like, ooh. So a healthy mother-daughter relationship is one that allows for closeness and togetherness, but simultaneously for independence and space. And this is from welldoing.org. We'll reference it down below. It's caring and loving and fun and silly. And it changes at every age and stage from childhood to adulthood between the mother and the daughter. So I like that it says a mother-daughter relationship is whatever you choose to make it. I agree 110%. And it literally says a good place to start is by establishing boundaries for the relationship. In other words, making sure both mother and daughter feel safe, comfortable, and satisfied within the relationship. At the end of the day, there's really no right or wrong answer. Every child is different. Every mom is different. Every relationship is different. I think a nice key is balance, understanding that people are allowed to have different opinions, and allowing the person to feel safe, comfortable, and satisfied with boundaries.
Right. And towards the end of the episode, right, we're gonna talk about how we can improve our relationship if we're struggling a little bit. But in the meantime, we're gonna talk about, like you just said, why are they so complex? And one of the points that this article mentioned is sometimes guilt. Guilt is a useless emotion because the article continues mentioning that it's an emotion that often exists in close and complicated familiar relationships, and it is a difficult, strong emotion that, when understood better, it does serve like very little purpose, but it can convince people to try to do certain things. Again, like if you're being pushy or if it's just not healthy, it is not a healthy tool to use in any relationship, no matter what the dynamic is. But when it comes to mother and daughters, it can manifest itself when one or both are overly critical of the other. So if one of them feels hurt, or they feel that they need to bring up the past or stuff that has happened before, it could make the other one feel upset and feel guilty. So if these types of things are not unresolved, like her emotions, it could just cause more issues. Like it could just become a little more toxic. It's just not a good or healthy tactic. And the only thing that it will cause is just to strain the current relationship. So we could become trapped in that type of relationship struggle if we keep bringing up the past, if we keep using that guilt as a trap to get what we want out of the relationship or out of the situation, right? But if we're kind of finding ourselves in this struggle, the most effective thing to do is to just be able to talk about it from both sides. That's how you're gonna be able to get past the being hurt area, right? Also making sure that our purpose of our conversation is to aim to forgive each other, so we can move on from the past and stop using that guilt. That way we can just establish a healthier relationship, because it's just once stuff is forgiven, it's just easier to not bring back all issues or old conversations, and have it just being more open is just better and healthier for the future.
And like, why would you want to make someone do a favor for you? Doesn't feel genuine at that point. It's like, then you're always going to doubt, oh, do they do it because they want to do it for me, or is it because I made them do it? And then why would you want to obligate someone to like do things for you? Then the person's just not going to want to do it out of the kindness of their heart. They might want to like be alone because they're tired. So it's something also to take into consideration. People are allowed to have feelings and wants and opinions. Don't guilt them to do what you want all the time. If someone wants to be there for you, they'll be there for you. They'll do things for you. They'll do the favor. You don't have to guilt them for it.
No, that's just not healthy.
No, it is not. And with that, another tip is be yourself. So in a healthy mother-daughter relationship, both parties need to take the other for who they are and not engage to trying to change them. This is like so true. Like maybe one or the other might have like a flaw, right? Let's say the daughter has a flaw the mom doesn't like, or the daughter finds the mom has this annoyance about her. But just accepting that's who they are. Like they're not going to change, because you can't force someone to change if they don't want to. That's just the rule. And if you just accept them for who they are, and you accept that they will never change, your life will be so much easier, because then you can move on and keep the peace and just carry on, which I think is really important. Sometimes you're better off having peace than being right. A lot of times, like, let it go. Take your
absolutely. And it's just not fun trying to change somebody all the time, or trying to pretend to be somebody you're not. Because it gets exhausting. What if you forget who you're pretending to be, and then you accidentally act like yourself, and then the people are like,
what?
Who the heck are you?
Who are you?
You're like, what? Oh gosh, which persona am I supposed to be? Supposed to be yourself. Be yourself.
Yeah, so apparently this is most common when a mom would like the daughter to be more like her. So this could either be in personality, values, choices, or opinions. The mother may try to make the daughter feel guilty for being different and may constantly try to change her. This can lead the daughter to feel like they are often disappointing their mom. And then they're often trying to please without success, which isn't good. Like, we don't want to bring our daughter's self-esteem down either. This can
Right.
lead to arguments, resentment, and overall an unhealthy relationship. So the thing is, we have to also remember, if you're trying to change someone, remember this: being in the company of someone that's trying to change you isn't fun. They're not going to want to be with you, which is a shame. So, accept them for who they are. Oh, here it says the key to this is acceptance. See? The mother needs to accept the perceived differences or faults and focus on the daughter's positive attributes and not those that are perceived as negative. Because honestly, sometimes it's just a different opinion. It doesn't mean it's wrong, it's just different. And it's nice to have people around that look at the world a little different, because that means that you have an out of the box solution whenever there's a sticky problem.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that if you're being yourself, it will be easier for your mom or for the daughter to help the other person out. Because if you're being yourself, then you'll be able to tell, okay, I know that my daughter likes this and this likes that. So I know how to help in this area. Or I know my mom doesn't like this or that, so I know how to help her in this sense. It's very easy if you're being yourself for the other person to be able to help out during a conflict, or if you need help working anything out. It's just easier if you know who the other person is.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah. So the next little point was be open to conflict. Then again, we have talked about that in this podcast. We don't like conflict or confrontation. Nobody does, right? But it's normal to have some sort of conflict in any relationship. It's normal. It's just life. People are different. We think differently, different personalities, right? But it's something that cannot be ignored, because if it's left ignored, just more tension or other issues will go unresolved and just cause higher problems. So the first step is just identify that there's conflict, the reasons for it, and just take time to talk. Again, putting into account the things we just talked about, like not using guilt and being yourself, right? Being open to talk, that type of stuff. So it's just best to engage in a good conversation, regardless of how difficult it might be, but trying to do so in a positive and respectful way will help both sides engage and not exacerbate the situation any further. So it gave 3 little pointers that I really liked, and the first one was allow both sides to present their side of the argument without interruption. It's important that each person has their say and that the other party listens.
Can I try? I know. I'm like doing the opposite of like what this literally just said, no interrupting.
You always.
I'm going to interrupt now. I know, but it's fine.
I guess.
No, the thing is that sometimes it's hard to do it in person, like when you're talking to them, because it's like somebody might say something like, I object. That is not true. But the point is, shh. Let the person say what they want to say and you can talk after. So I feel that sometimes it's easier to just text it. Don't actually sit and have a flowing conversation talking.
Well, I disagree. So I disagree in her face right now.
It's gonna be a little personal now. My mom and I, when I was younger, when we were disagreeing, this was the best way to resolve it, was texting. It would fix it. So it depends on the relationship. Like if me and you have an argument, we need to talk about it. We're not gonna fix it.
Exactly, because this is the thing. The article mentions to do it in a positive and respectful way. If the person is coming at you, talking really loudly, screaming, you this, you that, you this other thing, of course the other person that's on the other end is gonna be like, hold up, right? But if you're doing it in a positive, respectful way, it will make things easier. Of course, it's never easy when feelings are involved.
Yeah, that's why texting can also work.
Exactly, but texting is a double-edged sword, because somebody can read your text in a very negative way. and it could just make it a little worse.
Well, that's why.
Even though you're being very polite.
Yes, but the thing is, when you're texting, like for example, if the only way you can handle this is through texting, as I'm hitting my microphone, if the only way you can handle this through texting, then take a moment, sit down, and think before you type. Don't just like go stop. Like just give it a second. It depends on the relationship.
Yeah.
For me, it worked better that way.
And one thing that could help, if you're texting and you could say, I'm saying this from like an open heart perspective. I don't mean any disrespect. Please read this in a calm way or something like that. So the person kind of sets the tone when they're reading the paragraph you're about to send. That way they're not like,
oh,
how dare she?
It worked for me. Because we would try to do it like passively and nicely in person, but it was just easier to not interrupt when it was writing.
Yeah.
Because we both had so many feelings. Well, you know, if the hard times are coming, and have come and are there, when you text it, just either that it just worked for me.
It just depends. Yeah, it depends. I talk things out with my mom. We don't text. Good. I mean, on the phone sometimes, but it's just. But I am that type of person that will listen. I'm gonna sit there quietly and let it get it out of your system, whoever it is, and then that gives me a chance to think about what I want to say, and even if it's worth for me saying out loud. Sometimes I just don't even say anything, and I let it go. It's just easier. That's just who I am. But
yeah, I forget stuff. Like as people say, I'm like, oh, and then I just forget. How many times I forget mid conversation through the podcast? Like, oh, I got it. Wait. Oh, I got it. Wait. Can you imagine arguing with me for like 2 hours?
No,
I'm gonna forget half of. With that said, Eric and I like never argue.
There you go. It just works out.
Yeah. It works out. So for me and my mom, it worked out texting. So it's just a thought. But go ahead. Sorry.
Good.
So allow both sides to present their side without argument or interruption. Carry on. Is it after I interrupted?
You spoke so fast. Slow down a second. I literally didn't just understand what you just said.
I was rewinding it. I said allow both sides to present their side without argument or interruption. Carry on.
Yeah, just take a breather. Talk. You talk very fast. Just chill.
Oh, me? Oh, girl, stop. I was just...
The next one said, try to now bring up unrelated negative events. Try to think of positive experiences that you would like to build on rather than focusing on the negative. And I think that's a good thing. It's just approaching things from a positive perspective when you're talking and when you're trying to move on. Because what if you stay in the negative state for a long time? It's not healthy for anybody. But what if you both move on and now positive things come from the relationship? So I think looking at that from that point of view, it's just better. Okay, you look like you were going to say something.
No.
Okay. You can talk.
I'm not interrupting, and I'm speaking slowly now.
Thank you.
You know, when I was younger, my friends used to be like, Melanie, breathe. Because I would just go, one of them used to say, I would be like, okay, this is me talking. And then breathe.
Yeah. That's literally what I just heard. I was like, what did you just say? You talk so fast.
Yeah, I used to be faster. You know, I think it's living by New York. You don't have time. You gotta see what you gotta say in the moment. You gotta go on, especially when you had school and work and boo boo boo. All these things.
The thing about this podcast, people can rewind and re-listen. We're not in a rush.
But I was just rewinding back to the thought.
That is the worst rewinding sound ever. Hey, I think I have a ding rewinding that I'm gonna just throw in here, like a little sound.
Do it.
Okay. The next one was try to end on a positive and agree on ways that you can move forward. Tell each other how much you love each other and what you like about each other. That's just beautiful. And sometimes you might just have to agree to disagree. And that just leads to acceptance, as long as it's just not constantly used as a guilt tool and both parties genuinely accept the differences.
I agree with that. So another thing after that is spending time together. So important. Some mother and daughters enjoy spending a lot of time together, some don't. One may want more time and other may want less. The party wanting more may make the other feel guilty for not wanting to spend a lot of time together, which isn't good. So remember, we're not guilting anyone. We want them to want to spend time with you. We don't want them to feel obligated to spend time with you.
Exactly.
So, and the ideal situation is that time together should be happy, positive, and uplifting. It shouldn't be forced. If spending less time together achieves that, then overall the relationship will be healthier. Just because you're related doesn't mean that you need to spend all your time together.
Facts.
The key is to be mindful of your own behavior towards each other and notice how time together impacts on your mood. Don't feel guilty about reducing the amount of time together if it makes the relationship work better. Don't compare yourself either. Don't look at other mother daughters and be like, oh, but they do this and they do that. What works for you? Are you happy? Does it work? Yeah, I've been saying daughter for like half hour now.
I know, but this last time was a very, like I heard
did it really come out? You should see me around people that talk like me. It gets even worse. It's horrible. What are you gonna do? The daughter has a dog and she went for a walk.
And drank coffee.
And had coffee. Like it happened.
Oh, it's just perfect. And it's very true. You have to, and as you learn to recognize the relationship that you both have, you will learn to realize the appropriate amount of time that you need to spend together. Could be a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less, sometimes it's in the middle, sometimes you spend more, sometimes less. That's just the point here is that you want to have a positive, healthy relationship, no matter if you spend 1 hour on the phone once a week or if you call each other 6 times a day. I call my mom like 6 times a day every day. And sometimes I ask her, hey mom, what are you doing? She goes, oh, nothing, just eating. You? About to eat. Okay, I'll call you later. Okay, call you later, bye. That's literally all we do.
Why would you call if you're about to eat?
I just want to know what she's doing. That's just who we are.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's who we are.
I just drop by on my mom unexpectedly more often.
There
I just
you
show
go.
up like, I'm here.
Hola.
Text, nothing, show up, stay for a bit. She likes that. But that's something also to think about. So like, let's say you're a daughter, right? And you want more space and you don't want the constant like hanging out. Okay. But sometimes it's nice to just sacrifice. I don't want to say sacrifice because your mom sacrificed her body for you to a degree. Like she gave birth to you. That's, I hear, really painful, you know, they don't regret it. So it's like if your mom's willing to be there, nurture you, raise you, put that money, time, energy in you, can you just give her a day extra just to be with her? Like, does it have to be that serious? You know? And like I said, think just accept her for what she is. Maybe you don't want to be spending all this time with her because she does something that makes you feel bad about yourself or, you know, but I guarantee the mom probably doesn't even know she's doing that. Maybe talk to her about it. If you haven't, it didn't do anything, let it go. It is what it is. She is who she is. You're never going to change her. It's just best to have peace. Let her say what she says. Let her roll off your back. Because at the end of the day, she's just saying it because she probably loves you. Well, because she loves you, she probably wants the best for you. She probably thinks she's being helpful. But the fact is, if she wants to spend a little bit more time with you as a daughter, just do it. Do the extra. Just go unexpectedly to her house. Just show up. Yeah. You know, I don't show up at my mom because I feel that way. I just love to surprise my mom. Sometimes I'll just get the feels and be like, I'm just going to show up. And I go.
That's lovely.
I'm not comparing. I don't want my mom to be like, oh, is that what she does? No. My mom listens to this podcast. I'm just saying to people out there that feel like that, it's okay to sometimes just go. It'll make your mom feel so loved and it's rewarding.
Very true.
Feel. Yeah.
Very true. Very well said. So the last little point on this article was to allow each other to make mistakes. And I think that just also applies to any relationship in life, right? That's going to help you out if you just allow the other person to just be a human, right? And, you know, with childhood, it's just very important to guide, to lead, and to mentor the daughters as they have no foundations to work on, right? Parents have already worked through that stuff. They've already had foundations. They've already worked through you know, rough paths in their lives, and so they have a better foundation. So that's why we need a mother to be a mother, right? To have that role so they can guide the daughter, because as we know, children, or as they, as they grow up a little bit, they still need to be guided and protected. But of course, giving them that space, because they also need to learn to navigate, life's challenges by themselves, independently. So letting from the mother's perspective, taking a step back, allow the daughter to develop her independence, make some mistakes, as long as they're not like terrible, like lifelong mistakes.
Completely gonna ruin her. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because you're the mom, you're allowed to put some boundaries.
Exactly. Let her make a couple mistakes, or just show her, this is what happened when I did something like that. But we learn from mistakes, but that doesn't mean they need to make bad mistakes. They can always learn from your own mistakes. So very important to just learn to have, or to strike a balance between offering helpful guidance or intervening at every struggle. That is the challenge. But just having that balance, recognizing that's okay for them to make certain mistakes, but setting those boundaries so they don't make awful mistakes, is just a good recipe for happy and healthy mother-daughter relationship, which is the goal.
Guys, oh my gosh, guys, guess what, Chiquis? We need a part 2.
Yes, we need a part 2. So next week we will have our tea time portion, and then continue spilling the tea on mama drama. So please stay tuned for part 2. Thank you so much for listening. We sincerely hope you liked it.
We would love to know what you thought about our episode, so feel free to please leave a comment. Feel free to let us know the topics you would like for us to discuss in the future.
Yes, please subscribe, give us a like, a follow, and or a 5-star rating if you want to hear more episodes like this one. And please follow us on every social media platforms at Chatty Amigas.
Thank you so much for listening, Chiquis. We will be back every Tuesday with the tea.
Bye.